Let's talk about privilege. As much as I have wrestled over the years with the concepts of cultural misappropriation, the concept of privilege is relatively new to the conversation, I think. And I've recently realized that I have privilege in more ways than I had initially even realized. Yeah. Anyway, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about is that I have not been wearing a bindi or sindoor or a Mangala Sutra. And somebody noticed that in my videos too. You know, sometimes I would put them on just for the sake of the video, which is really dishonest. but lately I haven't even been bothering with that. And partly that's because I never wear makeup and I never wear jewelry and I forget to put them on. I wear my wedding ring because I don't ever take it off. It has not come off in 8 years. I shower with it, sleep with it, everything. Cannot really do that so much with a necklace, so it's hard for me to remember to put it on. That's one part. But, you know, there is a deeper aspect to it that, you know, I got some new Indian clothes, right? And I did a try-on video of those, and I was wearing them to try them on when my friend came over and we were like, we're gonna go shopping. I'm gonna change my clothes. And my husband's like, why are you gonna change? Why don't you just go wearing sarvalkamis? And I was like, I don't feel like being a spectacle today. Some days I'm up for it, some days I'm not. And that is a huge amount of privilege. I take off the Indian garments and I fit in. I don't have to worry about being looked at, having people wonder about me, curiosity, being stared at. And some people cannot take that off, and I can. So, huge privilege right there. As far as the bindi, I was wearing it all day, like absolutely every day, no matter what, for a number of years. And I stopped when my son was young, probably like 1, maybe 2, because I was in a mom's group and one of the children there asked me what it was, and I found the conversation so awkward, just trying to explain to him, why do I have this marking on my forehead? Well, I'm a Hindu, what does that mean? You know, he's like 4 years old. And I'm like, you know, you wear a cross, or your mom wears a cross because she's Christian, and it's like that. But, you know, I could see the mom's eyes on me, like, why are you having a religious conversation with my 4-year-old? And it was just awful, and I felt bad. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe, you know, I should just look at it as it's important for him to be educated on diversity, but it was uncomfortable, and I stopped wearing it because I didn't want to have conversations like that. So, again, privilege. I can look not Hindu whenever I want to, and I do take advantage of that. And I think most of us who have privileges like that do, because even though sometimes we feel up for, you know, being brave enough to face the world showing who we really are, sometimes we aren't, and we take advantage of the ability not to. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, I don't know where to go from there. There's the acknowledgement that, yes, I have that privilege to be passing in the wider American society. I'm usually mistaken for Jewish. That is by far the most often, which is very understandable. My coloring looks Jewish, and I live in an area with a very high Jewish population, and I have, most of my life, the areas that I've lived in have had a high Jewish population. But that's only one half of it. That is the half where I look white, because I am white, and so I can fit in whenever I choose to and not look like a minority. And the other half of the privilege that I just realized recently from doing the Hindu phobia video is that I can also kind of pass the other way. I have not experienced prejudice within the Indian community, and maybe part of that is because I'm ambiguous. Even though my skin is very pale and I have freckles, I also have black hair. So if I'm wearing Indian clothes, people are just not sure. I think people, and I know some people have said, you know, are you half Indian? Are you part Indian? So, you know, even though there are stares and curiosity, I think there's a bit of an assumption, a bit of a like, oh, she might be part Indian. Whereas somebody who does not have the dark hair or, you know, has much darker skin perhaps, or has a different texture of hair, may not have that privilege. So my experience going to Hindu temples, going to Hindu events may be quite different from the experience of other non-Indian Hindus, which I had not realized before. So that was very valuable. Thank you for that insight. And then the third aspect that I wanted to bring up is that my reluctance to wear the bindi and to be visibly Hindu has nothing to do with other white people. It's all about Indian people. You know, as I gave some thought to this, like, who am I scared of? Scared is not quite the right word, but like, that's where the awkwardness comes in. I don't mind being like visibly non-Christian, you know, I don't mind looking visibly Hindu to other white people, to other people who are not Hindu. It's Hindus and Indians that I feel awkward about, because there's such a huge question mark, and then I don't know how to interact in person. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm in the mall, I'm wearing a bindi, I see an Indian person. There's like, what do? Do you acknowledge each other? Do you smile knowingly? I don't know. And so that's where I get really uncomfortable, is the having Indian people see me with the bindi and go, what? What's going on there? Like, their curiosity. And if it leads to a conversation, it just gets so awkward. So like, yes, I'm not Indian. Yes, I am Hindu. Yeah, so I was kind of born Hindu because I was born into this cult that was based on Hindu philosophy, but it wasn't acknowledged. It's just like, let's go on and on and on here. So I have uncovered that that is a big part of my reluctance to wear bindi in public and to wear Mangala Sutra and Sindoor, because I'm not married to an Indian man, so that's the next, you know, assumption that one makes if they see a white person wearing those things. I don't know. And then I guess there is one more aspect to it, which has to do with my varying interests. And I think I'm going to do a whole video about this, but I've been recently being more open about being on the autism spectrum, and a part of that is the very intense special interests. And most people have the assumption, and I did as well, that, you know, an autistic person has a special interest and it's all consuming, it's obsessive, and it doesn't change, that it stays throughout your whole life. And I have found out that the way I experience special interests is also a variation that is a trait in autism. And that is that I get very obsessive about something for a period of time, and then it stops, and I become obsessive about something else. And it often cycles, so there's like 5 or 6 key things that keep coming back. But when I'm at a point where I'm not active in that obsession, it's very difficult for me to really do anything with it. And so that happens with Hinduism. Sometimes I'm like super into it, I'm really keeping up with all of my faith practices, and I'm thinking about it every day, I'm very active with it. And that's when I start making videos. But then there's periods of time where it doesn't mean that I'm not just as Hindu, but I'm not actively thinking about it as much, and I don't really have anything to say about it at those times. And so that is part of why I disappear for periods of time, and part of why I'm reluctant to start wearing the bindi again, because I'm afraid, okay, I'm in an obsessive period right now with Hinduism, but what happens when that stops? I don't really want to be inconsistent with it, so I'm nervous about that. So a lot of stuff going on in my head right now, and I'm gonna do another video diving more into how the special interests work for me. But I would love to hear your thoughts and comments about me presenting outwardly as a Hindu and wearing Mangala Sutra and Sindoor and Bindi, and any advice you have about how to have those awkward conversations, or how to deal with those moments where you're passing somebody on the street and they see you wearing a bindi. So like any thoughts you have on that are very, very welcome.